Yes, a very good morning to everybody, and thanks for joining us. What a way to start this morning. Of course, we've got some buffaloes, and a young male lion just came chasing and running out of the drainage line where this big jackalberry tree is, and unfortunately, these buffaloes turned around and chased him straight back into the drainage line. And oh, there he is. He's right in front. He's on the road, right in front there. There he is. So we got him this side. So maybe there's other lions here as well. I'm not too sure, but so far we just got this young male that chased these buffaloes, and then of course they chased him as well. So I wonder if he's not going to turn around. We've had a lot of lion calling around the lodge area this morning, so we are definitely going to continue following up there. So, but anyway, well, a very good morning to everybody. My name is Cedric, and behind the camera with me on Rusty, we've got Odie. Thanks for joining us. What a way to start our sunrise safari. All right, I'm going to try and get past him. Is he one of the young Talamati males? I'm not too sure, but he's definitely not the male that was calling around our camp this morning. To me, he's still too young for like really roaring, because it was a big male that was roaring around Gari Dam this morning. So I'm not too sure if it was maybe the S8 male. I'm not too sure if it's him, but you can see he's just trying to pick up on a scent of something that's come through recently. But we will follow, yeah.
Hi, gorgeous. Good morning. How are you? You're all being so fun this morning. Very big change from that freezing cold wind that we had yesterday. It just made them completely inactive because it's too cold to move at that point. You've just got to try and bundle up and hope that you can keep each other warm. But this morning, totally opposite to what they were yesterday. It's like they're different cats. Now what is worrying me is I could only see two. Ah, there's number 3. Alright, number 3 is coming up to join, which is fantastic. That's why this one was looking at us, because there was another cheetah coming out the bushes. Jamison, I think what fascinates them about the fence line is the concept of boundaries. Because fences, of course, are human-made, and these are our boundaries, but for animals, they don't necessarily have to stick to a particular area like we do. So the fence is just a fascinating thing for them, where they're learning what their new boundaries are. So for them, remember, they weren't born on Amakhala. So for them, I think it's just a matter of we're learning our territory, we're learning where we fit in and where we can go and where is safe. And the road next to the fence line, which is very helpful, means that they can walk on a clear pathway without getting themselves into trouble.
We have popped back in to see the Tau from yesterday, and I'm very surprised that they are still here. I was wrong. I called it that they wouldn't be, and unfortunately they've just pulled the carcass into the thicket, which is not ideal for viewing purposes. They obviously pulled it right in there last night because it was where the vehicle is right now, which is not ideal as well, because I'm hoping to see some scavengers on this a little bit later. This was killed yesterday morning, so it's been about 24 hours. And obviously they're still feasting on it. 2 lionesses and 2 sabarals. There's a lot of research out there now about carcasses and the benefits that they do deliver to the ecosystem in its entirety. There's a lot of policies now, especially in Europe, to actually leave carcasses where they're found. Now that's a bit tricky because obviously if it's a public park or a public area where you maybe are walking your children or your dogs, you don't want to walk past a carcass. That's awful. You obviously don't want disease to spread as well, but you need the carcass to decompose in the environment. Now what happens is any living organism, including ourselves, we are nutrient powerhouses. We have so many nutrients and elements locked up inside of us. Now when we die, let's go back to the animals, you want those nutrients to be released back into the environment. You want them to be readily available for other organisms, but also for the soil. So once the carcass starts to break down, which the lions are doing a really good job of, all the nutrients are actually seeping into the soil here. Then, of course, the scavengers will come along. I mean, the jackals are already here. Brown hyenas might come along. Spotted hyena might even come along. Pied crows, vultures, you name it. They're also going to benefit from all those nutrients being unlocked. And there's a fantastic study in Holland where they monitored a site, the vegetation around a site where there was a carcass. I think it was a deer or something, I can't remember. 5 years later, the whole area transformed, and the vegetation in that specific area from where the carcass decomposed, the vegetation flourished. It was taller than the other plants, it was healthier than the other plants, it was thicker than the other plants, and all of these things. And this was because a carcass had decomposed there. So the amount of nutrients available to the vegetation was incredible, and it absolutely flourished. And I think it's so fascinating, Rory. I would love to actually monitor that. I'd love to monitor this exact spot and come back in a few years' time and see if this area differs from its neighbour. See how it was exactly affected by the carcass. But carcasses are really important, and that's why you do have the cleanup crew here. They do clean it up, and it's important that we don't remove them from the natural environment. But obviously this is a wild game reserve. It's a little bit tricky if you're talking about a public park. So I do understand why there are lots of rules around that, but they are looking to change the policies and legislations about that across the world. It's part of the great circle of life.
Okay, so it's been quite a success this morning. We're busy watching so far 2 adult lionesses over here. And it's an interesting sequence of events that took place this morning because we've been tracking them ever since we started off from camp. And I backtracked a little bit. This pride walked right past my tent last night. But in any case, so we tracked and we took a road going south to check the southern side, and that's sort of where we went wrong. And in the process of driving south and we weren't coming across sign, some other vehicles came into the area and they managed to locate first. But it's always good to know that we were putting the pieces of the puzzle together, and part of that puzzle was they walked past my tent. So what a life, eh? What a life. Now they have been showing interest in impala this morning. The impala are not around here at the moment. It seems like they've just sat down just to get out of sight of these impala. And who knows, they'll probably resume that hunt when they can. So they are feeling a little bit cool this morning. I would be too, or I am. If we just have a look at her fur, or their fur, you can actually see the fur is looking a little bit darker, especially around the neck. So they're actually raising the fur, filar erection of the fur, just to trap in heat, much like when you get goosebumps on your body when you're cold, or you get the shivers. It does trap in heat. It's been quite an interesting one here at Pridelands, yes, most indeed. We spent a bit of time tracking those lions, and we went a little bit off the direction where they went, and that was our mistake this morning. But luckily, some other people managed to see those lions, and they had guests on their vehicle, which is quite nice, so that can also include them in the whole tracking experience and then also finding the animal. So yeah, once again, I'd just like to thank you all for being with us on the safari. It's been splendid. I know Panda and I, we've had a good few chuckles, and he's had a good time as well. And we'll probably see you, well, we'll definitely see you on the sunset safari. So have a lovely day, and we'll catch you a bit later. Cheerio.